a little after 6, and I'm calling the meeting to order. Our first person is Betsy Kramer, who's running for second vice chair. If she'd like to say a couple of words.
Good evening. I don't know how close I should get. Good evening, everyone. Do you have a smile? Everybody smile. Yes. It's a great day. Anyway, my name is Betsy Kramer, and I'm running for second vice chair. I'm asking for your support and vote at Dalton, June 7th. Anyway, I've been involved in the Republican Party since 2009. When I got involved, I was told politics starts locally, so that's what I did. And I also learned that Republicans don't say nasty things about other Republicans. And therefore, I'm calling out an elephant in the room. Okay? I happen to be Jewish, and this person was somewhat anti-Semitic the other day, as well as has been a bigot to other groups of people. So that's not what President Reagan, you sort of are agreeing with me, President Reagan on his 11th commandment of disparaging other Republicans. And I'm just calling out this person. I will not say his name, but I've been a great Republican, helping people along the way, getting people involved, doing lots of different things. I was a presidential elector last year. I was a delegate as well last year, and I was in 2020. I also recruited over the past 2 presidential campaigns. I live in Fulton County. Don't kill me for that. But in Fulton County, we had over 600 people from all over the country poll watching. So I'm a big volunteer. I roll up my sleeves. I get in the mud, and I help people along. So my motto is one team, one mission, and one Georgia. And if we all can work together, no matter what our differences are, we can win. Because 2026 is around the corner, and money is already streaming in. Someone told me that someone raised, the woman who is running against Bridget Thorne, who happens to be one of our county commissioners. The woman running against her, Maggie Goldman, she raised $19,000 last week. So, and this is just a county commission position. So we all need to help, either getting involved with the campaigns or giving money. Well, anyway, I'm Betsy Kramer, and I'm asking you for your vote on June 7th. Thank you.
Thank you, Betsy, for keeping that at about the right time. Thank you.
I don't even know if that was 1 minute.
You did good. It's close to 2. But anyway, we're not keeping that short of a leash on everybody. Welcome and to Mr. Brad Barnes, who is running for second vice chair also.
Hello, friends and neighbors. My name is Brad Barnes. I'm running to represent you as your second vice chair. So I'm from right down the road in Rome, Georgia. So you all should all be familiar with us. And I think it'd be great for us to have an officer on the GOP board from our area. So a little bit about me. I'm a software engineer. I also have a background in data engineering, a skill I think we need on the state board. And in terms of what I'm known for, probably the 2 biggest things I'm known for are in Rome, fighting a Trans Queer Pride for Kids event in 2023, which ended up getting us arrested illegally. We fought the charges, we won the charges, and we were also able to protect future right-wing protesters by having the ordinances of Rome written to be constitutionally sound, which they were not before. And then also in 2023, I had a bit of a fight with Fannie Willis. You may know her as the Fulton County DA. She was trying to bankrupt our party, go after our great president, Donald Trump, and put all of our electors in jail. And so With Chris Carr, our Attorney General, doing nothing about that, I found out that the Georgia Code allows a private citizen to take action. So I did that. I filed a 4-count indictment against Fannie Willis in Fulton County courts. And it ended up making international news. I was on the news in about 15 countries that day. And we filed it so that it would come out the day, Emory Roy actually and myself, filed it the day that they had Trump booked at the Fulton County Jail. So we actually had a bit of a Republican response to them arresting our president that day. In terms of what victory looks like for me as the second vice chair, it's a victory that's so complete and so total in 2026 that we again have the Democrats howling at the sky, crying in the streets, and a victory so complete that the Democrats never try to take over our great state again. And so what does that look like? It's empowering our grassroots, it's supercharging our county parties, giving them the tools and resources they need from the state party to be the best that they can be. So we've been asked to be a little bit brief, so I'll wrap up now just by saying if you want a big win, if you want a bigger and a bolder GOP, bet on Brad Barnes at the state convention in June. Thank you so much. I'm the man for the job. Thank you.
Just give me a second here. Thank you, Ty. Take this thing down this time.
I wish it was black tape. White's all I got.
All right, this should fall off this time. All right. That's all right. So just to continue, our next speaker running for second vice chair as well is Shawnee Zappendorf.
Oh, no, okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Shawnee Z. If you have this card, you'll understand why I'm going by my initial. I'm actually very excited to come here. Are you anybody familiar with Tom Graves? I believe he used to be home of Tom Graves. Seems like yesterday, but it was actually 10 years ago. He had his famous Academy Days, and I had asked Tom if I can bring my children here, and that's what started off for my family and for my children, because they were able to come here for that Academy Day. And they're both serving in the United States Army as of right now, and a captain tomorrow, and then I still have a first lieutenant. Thank you. And like I said, I'm Shawnee Z. I'm running for second vice chair. I've been volunteering for almost 2 decades. I start from the grassroots level all the way to the national level. I was one of your proud 59 delegates to the RNC. And at the state level, I was a committee member. And then at the county level, back in 2019, when I became the county chair, there were 2 things that I fought for. Our Second Amendment right, because Biden at the time was trying to threaten to take our Second Amendment rights away. And I got the county commission to to do a proclamation that they were supporting our Second Amendment rights. And the other one was push for election integrity, which was cleaning up the voter rolls. I was highly criticized because it wasn't a popular thing to do at the time. And guess what happened a year later? I was named in a lawsuit by Stacey Abrams. So I know at that time that I was doing the right thing. And I had confirmation from True to Vote that helped me pay for all the legal fees and everything. And we have a lot of veterans here. Talk a little bit about myself. I'm married almost 28 years to an Army veteran. And of course, I have 2 children that's serving currently. And what do I see for our party as a second vice chair? I would like to see us to be united. We need to be one. And I want to, call out people that are not doing the correct things and support people that are supporting our party. So we must be one republic. My heart says that I love people and I love serving. And that's why we're all here on a, Thursday night. And I will glorify God, and I will correct people that are wrong, and encourage people that are trying to build our party. So our job is to elect Republicans up and down the ballot. We need to stop the bickering, and we must fight Democrats, not each other. So even God says the house divided against itself cannot stand. Thank you. We must stand. Oh, is it my turn? My name is Shawnee Zappendorf. I'm running for second vice chair. It's a little card. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. So, our next speaker that I would like to introduce is Sally Grubbs. She's running, she's candidate for first vice chair. Currently, she is the chair for the over 80,000 population districts. And there's Sally. Come on up.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So it's great to see everyone out tonight. First of all, I would like to say, can we just take a moment to praise God for Donald J. Trump being our president? That is the biggest thing. Getting up every morning like it's Christmas Day and President Trump is in the office, and looking and seeing on Twitter what's happened since maybe I fell asleep the night before, because he's working all the time. So I'd like to thank God for President Trump being in office. So my name is Sally Grubbs, and these are my cards. And you'll see there's a website on there, rallywithsally.com. So if you can check it out, it says way more than I could say. But I just want to tell you that some of you may remember me from 2020, the shredding truck and all that kind of stuff. So election integrity goes without saying. I've gotten rules passed at the State Election Board, and that are now part of House Bill 397 when we can get that through. I've had other rules passed as well. I have a pending election board rule that has to do with the cast vote record and the ballot images that's very, very important, working on that right now. So as far as election integrity goes, I'm solid. One of the other things is grassroots. We have our wonderful former chairwoman from Bartow County here, Deanne Wise, who I love very much. And Deanne and I don't always see eye to eye, but we are always respectful of each other. And so she's been one of the counties, Bartow, for the over 80 counties, and she can testify to the work I've done to bring the 32 counties that are over 80,000 in population together and have a communication stream. And now, for the first time ever, we'll have our own caucus rules at the state convention, which I'm very excited about, because if we're going to win elections, we've got to be communicating. And that's my main goal, is to be sure we're all on the same page for winning elections. And so I'm just going to take a little bit of a turn today to say some good things about some people in the room, because we hear so much negativity. It's almost like we're desensitized to the good things now, and all we hear are bad things. And so some of you in the room know my son was in a real tragic accident in January of 23. And in fact, we just passed by here yesterday going to Nashville for a follow-up doctor's appointment. But Shawnee Zappendorf was amazing and sent me the most beautiful orchids when he was in the hospital. And then when my mom died this past July, she died on Sunday, and Tuesday I was presenting at the election board, and I had to get her clothes to the funeral home. And fortunately, David Cross had the spot before me, and he switched with me so that I could go. So regardless of whether or not there's bad things being said, there's an awful lot of good in our hearts if we would just do the right thing. And so Betsy Kramer and her husband have been immensely generous to me. And Jim Tully in the back of the room, another over 80 chair from Paulding County, sometimes he'll text me and just say, "I love you," because he knows how hard things are. And Josh McCoon has been so supportive. When we went to the RNC convention in Milwaukee, I was a delegate there, and I was also an elector, and Josh knows how much election integrity means to me. He stood behind those who stood up for us, and that is a debt that cannot be repaid. He has stood for everybody. So I just want to say to you delegates, when you make your choice to lead the party, pray first, seek God's wisdom, and treat your fellow man better. Get up every day and treat your fellow man better than you did the day before. My name's Sally Grubbs. Check me out, rallywithsally.com. Thank you.
Well, a lot of you aren't from here, but we treat everybody And this is, treat everybody very kindly here. This is almost like Mayberry. And you come down here to this, almost. We're about as close as we can get. But that's the way we want to keep it. And we will, I think our delegates feel the same way. They're highly conservative, Christian, very local-based, family-based, and so they're all pretty much looking for the same thing in our candidates. So just to say that, I don't know why I said that, but I'm looking right now at, let's see. Brian Pritchard.
And Lisa Pierce.
Oh, I'm sorry. Lisa Pierce, yeah. Jeff, you're right. Thank you very much. Let's if I can get Jeff up here real quick. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I've had a lot of people added to the list at the last minute, and anyway.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Gordon County, thank you for having me and allowing me this opportunity to introduce myself. My name is Jeff Della Majora, and I am your candidate for treasurer with the Georgia Republican Party, and I hope to earn your vote in Dalton. A little bit about myself is I'm 53 years old. I'm a recent empty nester. I have unlimited energy. I am a proud U.S. Army veteran, and I created and run a wildly successful business. I built this business with my own bare hands. I built it with grit and focused activity to the tune of this year we expect up to $30 million to run through my organization. People ask me, they say, Jeff, what qualifies you to operate as the treasurer of the state party? Well, that's simple. I run a great business, and there was no one but me to do all the finances. I did all the bookkeeping, I did all the payroll, I paid all the taxes, I did all the accounts receivable, accounts payable, and I successfully and favorably negotiated a lot of contracts, both internally with my own people, as well as externally with partners, vendors, and other third parties. As treasurer, I commit to overseeing the party's funds with diligence, competence, and transparency, and making sure the party remains solvent, making sure that funds continue to come in, and that our books are always ready for an audit. In addition to that, I commit to supporting and strengthening our elected chairman's agenda and working as an active participant and team member with the rest of the executive board. We're in a unique time right now, and every one of us here are here for one singular reason. We have only one goal, and that goal is that we will elect Republicans up and down the ticket. And we will take back our Senate seat and send John Ossoff back to the couch. The wind is at our back, and with Trump at the helm, the time is now. We will seize this opportunity, and I thank you for your time. My name is Jeff Della Majora, and I am your candidate for State Party Treasurer. Thank you for having me. Thank you.
I'd like to get some of that intravenously, all that energy. You know, you don't run a zoo, do you? Wildly successful? Okay. Anyway, thank you very much. That was great. So, Lisa Pierce now, right, Kathleen? Anyway, I'd like to bring Lisa Pierce up here. She's running for first vice chair as well.
And muddy. And muddy. Hold on, let me get her all situated. You ready? Sit down. Thank you. Okay, my name is Lisa Pierce, and I am the current Upson County Chairwoman. I'm running for first vice chair. I am a Christian, first of all. I'm a wife. I'm a mother. I'm a grandmother of 2 granddaughters and 1 grandson on the way that we're super excited. For 27 years, I traveled this state working in large cities and small cities, so I have a unique perspective of knowing the people of Georgia and what they need. Why am I running? I'm running because we need people on the executive committee that will push through Trump's agenda. We need hand-marked, hand-counted paper ballots. That is the only way we can have an audible election and we know who we vote for. We also need one-day voting. The second reason I'm running is because I am the only one who lives in and represents an under 80,000 county. And that's important because we have unique needs in the under 80 counties. The third reason is because I have proven leadership. Our number one job as a chairperson is to grow the membership and deliver results at the ballot box. Unfortunately, unlike one of my opponents, the former Cobb County chair, her county was one of the 20 counties that went more blue, not red. So that means that she actually failed at her job, yet she's standing up here asking you all for a promotion. I call that failing up, and that's not how we need to go. What we did in Upson County is we did increase our membership. But more importantly, we delivered the results. If you look at 2020 versus 2024, we increased our Republican turnout by 3%, but more importantly, we decreased our Democrat vote by 2.55%. That's the results you need, and that's what leadership looks like. The fourth reason that I'm running is because we have to build for 2026. It's a pivotal year. We have the governor race, the AG race, the Secretary of State race. And we definitely have to change our Democrat Senate seat to Republican. And the only way we're going to do that is by having a grassroots organization, and we've got to start building that now. Okay, I know that I'm new to this political stuff, and one of the things that I was naive about was the true difference between establishment and the grassroots. One of the tactics that the establishment uses to keep the grassroots out is to delay and silence you. They delay access to information and run out the clock. To delay is to deny. As many of you know, I wasn't added to the ballot in the beginning, but because I had put my resume within the body of the intent to run, not as an attachment. I'd ask, where in the rules does it state that it must be in an attachment? Bottom line, there is no rule. I was denied, but unity, right, Josh? When asked at the Hall County GOP meeting why I was denied, Josh stated that it was because I didn't attach my political resume. But we both know that was only half the truth. But unity, right, Josh? We received a 9-page NDA which states that if you disparage the Georgia GOP, and who decides what disparagement is? You could be fined $25,000 for each incident. Would you sign that document if you owned anything? No. But unity, right, Josh? I've been listening to all the candidates for quite some time. And after the third time of listening to Betsy's speech, I leaned over to another candidate and asked, why is she constantly talking about her last name? And they said, well, Kylie, duh. But unity, right, Betsy? I do not unify with people.
2 minutes.
I unify with principles like honesty, integrity, and transparency, none of which I've seen out of many of these candidates. It's like George Carlin said, it's a club and you ain't in it. To be honest, I don't want to be in that club. We must demand candidates to tell the whole truth, not half the truth. We need candidates that will stand up for the people even when it's hard. We need candidates that are honest, have integrity, and are willing to let all people look behind the curtain. I am that candidate, and I hope that you will vote for me in Dalton in June. Thank you.
What I appreciate the most about that is that the opposites didn't get all riled up and shaken about it, and I thank you very much for that. People need to be able to say what they need to say, and we need to just be gracious. Thank you. The next candidate that I would like to introduce, of course, is David Cross, but Brian Pritchard has decided to introduce him for me, and I appreciate that a lot.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Keep it short. Yeah.
I hope I don't dig into too much time with David Cross. David Cross, I'm here to support him tonight, but as Betsy said, I think she put it very well, there's some elephants in the room. He's trying to run a campaign, and I want to get out of his way, so I want to address a couple things that are being said. First and foremost, I'm a Christian. I believe in Jesus Christ as my personal Savior. I'm excited today that the Catholic Church has elected a Pope. I'm most excited that they do it on paper ballot. You know, I sit here at Gordon County. I used to come here until I was no longer invited. I sit here at Gordon County right up here, and I moderated 2 debates for the Gordon County citizens at the Republican Party. I've moderated about 40 Republican debates in the last 3 years. I was the only one to moderate a debate between Brad Raffensperger, David Bellal, TJ Hudson, and Jody Heiss for 2 hours. And never once did I sit and moderate a debate where I endorsed a candidate. I was really disappointed in the 3rd District Friday night to see Katie Frost, where she has the right to endorse Mr. McCoon, but to also moderate a debate. I also came over here in 2022 when MAGA was struggling to get out to the ballot, and we were trying to encourage MAGA to get out to the ballot. Ms. Kathleen called me and said, could you come over and speak and help us encourage the base to get out? But that was before I no longer got invited. Now, I'm 61 years old. Wasn't going to say that. I've never been incarcerated. I never spent a night in jail. And I legally and very proudly voted for Donald Trump in November. So there's one of the elephants. The second elephant, I've been called, and I hope you'll indulge me here because I was brought up, I've been called homophobic. I've been called a bigot. I've been called anti-Semitic. So let's go with anti-Semitic first. I grew up in New Jersey, okay? I grew up in New Jersey. All my classmates, for the most part, were Jewish. I worked in Brooklyn, New York. Most of my customers were Jewish. And I have a lot of time with Jewish friends that have the Holocaust tattoo identification on their arm, okay? I look you in the eye. The Republican Party of Georgia, just as of 2 weeks ago, had a member of the executive directors that has a very close friend that denies the Holocaust publicly, has been very anti-Semitic, all right? And that's not me. I have a colleague I work with every day that's Jewish. I love my Jewish friends. I grew up with Jewish friends. I would never hurt my Jewish friends. I've been called homophobic. Now, I have dinner many nights with one of my friends, many friends, at his house with his husband, my good friend Jamie Parrish. I'm homophobic. I've been called a bigot. About 15 miles up the road in Chattanooga, I have 3 of the most beautiful grandchildren you've ever seen in your life. My daughter's an amazing woman. My son-in-law is an amazing man. He happens to be black. And by the way, Debbie Dooley happened to delete the post where her and one of your executive members put out a very racial statement about my family, but I saved that screenshot. But I'm a bigot. It's the furthest thing from the truth. Okay? I have never covered up anything. The Georgia Republican Party just settled a lawsuit, possibly based on some racial issues. So David Cross has not asked me to be the executive director of the Georgia Republican Party. In fact, it was a shock to me Friday night. I found out I'm his best friend. I didn't know that till Friday night. Thanks, David, I appreciate that. We are friends. Like you talk about unity in the Republican Party, friends don't turn on each other. We're friends. He's not going to denounce me. We're friends. We love each other. Okay? Then you're going around, some people, and saying that I'm going to run the Georgia Republican Party. I want to look you guys in the eye tonight. It's not fair to this man. I'm not going to run the Georgia Republican Party. I live in Blue Ridge, Georgia, 3 miles back on a dirt road with 3 dogs and my wife, and I'm going to get in trouble because I brought up the dogs first. I do not want to go to Atlanta every day and answer the phone for David Cross. I do not. All right? I'm not the one that hires friends. Okay? Period. I hear it pays well, but I'm not the one that hires friends. So let's put that to rest. So anytime you hear one of those emails or somebody says something or you want to ask me a question, don't hesitate. I'm not looking for a job for the job. I'm semi-retired. I don't need to go to Atlanta. All right? I don't need to work for the Georgia Republican Party. I am a Republican. I vote Republican. I'm a lifelong Republican, and I support David Cross. Now, one more thing, and I'll get out of the way. When I was running for first vice chair, everywhere I went, I always open up and I say, I'm a Christian and I believe in Jesus Christ as my personal Savior. And I came around one night and Miss Kramer cornered me. And she said, you know what I don't appreciate about your speeches? Is you always share your faith. And everyone doesn't have the same faith as you. She said, I'm Jewish. I looked her in the eye and I said, I love my Jewish friends. And I walked off because I do. So keep calling me anti-Semitic, go on radio shows and say homophobic and all you want. You can't tag it to me. Oh, by the way, I put my 3 grandchildren in a campaign thing. It was Republicans that attacked me and said they don't want my kind. Yeah. I love David Cross. He's a good man. He has a plan for 2026. That's why I'm supporting him. He has a plan for 2026 to unify the party. He has a plan for transparency, for our finances. He has a plan to get out on the road. And you know what he has? I think she was talking about grassroots. He has a plan to bring the grassroots back to the table. You see, the day something happened, I was shunned. And let me tell you something, in 1993 I did something I'm not proud of, and I sat at an altar and I kneeled and I asked God for forgiveness. But there's some of you in the room, no, I don't need to ask yours. I asked Jesus Christ for forgiveness. And you know what they tagged? They tagged a scarlet letter on me. They tagged an F, and they called me a forger. And some people that have called me anti-Semitic go on those signal chats, and they say, the forger, the forger. And he writes checks, and he signs checks. I stand before people, and I look people in the eye. Now, if we do the right thing and we want to win in 2026, because Donald Trump's not on the ballot, folks. We keep hearing about the Super Bowl. Well, our star quarterback went in the transfer portal, and he's up in Washington, D.C. We're on our own. We got to get to work. We can't treat each other like this, and we have to be transparent. David Cross is a good man. I love him. He's my friend. And you know, I didn't find out till the other night that we're that close and that I didn't get the job. I was like, I didn't even get to put in a resume. God bless David Cross. Let me turn it over to him. Thank you for the time.
You want me to go ahead right now? All right. Try to move this thing without it breaking down. All right, so I'm David Cross. I'm currently the second vice chair for the Georgia GOP. I've been accused of being a serial, politician, like running for office. And what y'all need to know the truth here, right? I got involved in 2023. I was recruited. A lady came to me named Mary Gordon, the GRA, and she said, David, you need to run for second vice chair. And I said, why on earth do I want to run? And I said, I don't have a limited amount of time, for these kinds of things. And she said, you've got so much time that you put in on election security, she said that if you get elected second vice chair, you'll actually, some of the politicians that are out there will actually listen to you just out of respect for the office. And I said, okay, sign me up. So I ran, and I won. I ran for national committeeman last year for the exact same reason. I'm not trying to climb the ladder. I was using that. I was hopefully going to win that so that I could use that to be able to share across the country with other national, committeemen from across the states about all the vulnerabilities that we found in the Dominion system here in Georgia. That's why I ran. I'm running right now to be your chairman because I see a party that needs a lot of help, okay? I'm being accused of trying to burn this thing down and tear it to the ground. The way that I see it is we're practically there right now, all right? There is no budget. There is no reserve fund. Nobody has to, ask the chairman for, or the chairman doesn't have to ask anybody for permission on, how to spend money. I'm running also because, this year we failed President Trump in the legislature. We were supposed to pass paper ballots in Georgia, all right? Donald Trump signed Executive Order 14248 asking for paper ballots, and we didn't get anything done. And part of it has to do with the fact that we don't have any organization with regard to lobbying, all right? We have one lobbyist at the Georgia GOP, but when I go down, to the Gold Dome, there's consistently 20, 30, 40 people that are down there that have got time. Some people have got time, some people have got talent, other people have got treasure. I'm seeing some of the folks that are down there that have got time. Properly motivated people, all right, that want to do what's right for their country. If we train them on how to lobby, you could have 20 people chasing legislation that's important to us instead of having to have one person who has to divide his time. This is how you leverage teams. This is how you do things. President Trump was elected because America got sick of politics as usual. America got tired of seeing politicians up there, wasting our money. When I look at the Georgia GOP right now, I see wasted money. I see dumb decisions. We need to fix that. All right, I'm a business person. I own a financial services company. So guess what? I spend a lot of time looking at financial documents. And there's been a lot of financial documents I've looked through, just recently, and we found a lot of personal charges that the chairman put on his card, basically on the company card. Your money, my money. I want my money back. That's right. Amen. We need to doge the Georgia GOP. And if I become your chairman, I'm not even going to say if, when I become your chairman, one of the things that's going to happen is we're going to have a basic rudimentary audit that will be done within the first 45 days. We will figure out what's going on. We will publish it on the Georgia GOP website. And then going forward, there's going to be quarterly statements, just like a business. We're going to let you know how much money's come in, how much money has gone out, what you can do to make a difference in the party. Oh, I'm sorry, I've gone way over. All right. We have like I said, we have a lot to do. We need to have a Trump Force 47 clone, and we're going to call it Georgia Force 26. On my website, you just go to crossforga.com or crossforgeorgia, either one will get you there. There's 13 initiatives that are on there. If I was going to burn down the party, would I bother putting 13 different initiatives out there and talking with people and trying to recruit people? No, it's absurd. I love this party, and I love my Republican friends. I'm here to build an amazing organization for all of us. My father was a home builder. I know what it's like to create things. I'm a business owner. I've created my own company. I want to do the same thing with the Georgia GOP. I want to update, modernize, and rebuild this thing. I'm David Cross. I want to be your chairman. Thank you.
And once again, thank you very much, everybody, for the decorum. We appreciate it very much. Next, I'd like to bring Denise Burns up to introduce Josh McCoon.
Hey, Gordon County, we miss y'all in the 14th District. We really do miss you. And I drove down here, I've been thinking for days after Kathleen asked me to introduce Josh tonight. Been thinking for days about all the good things that I could say about how well we've worked together for the last 2 years as a district that was mostly under 80 counties, and how prominent he allowed those chairmen to play a role and advise him as things happened around the state. And then at 6:03 tonight, the man that we love, admire, and respect, our star quarterback who went to the transfer portal and moved to Washington, D.C., issued what I think supplants anything that I could say about Chairman McCoon. And I'm going to read that tonight for you here, because y'all are not checking your phones, but I'm an addict, and I do. From our president, real Donald J. Trump. Chairman Josh McCoon is doing a fantastic job leading the Republican Party of Georgia, a state I love and won big in 2024. Josh is 100% MAGA, and I know he will continue to do a fantastic job and secure many more victories for Georgia Republicans in 2026 and beyond. Josh McCoon has my complete and total endorsement for re-election as chairman of the Georgia Republican Party. And in all caps, he will never let you down. I don't know what else I could say beyond that, so without further ado, Chairman Josh McCoon.
Well, thank you, Denise. I appreciate that. I appreciate your friendship. I guess that's taped on. It's a pleasure to be in Gordon County. I appreciate everything that Gordon County Republicans did to make us successful in 2024. I guess I want to start with a comment that my opponent made, that the Georgia Republican Party is a failure. And I want to sort of reflect on where we were in 2023 and where we are today. In 2023, we had not won a federal statewide election since 2016. In 2023, we had 3 of our own, people just like those of you in this room, who were indicted by Fani Willis for the crime of participating in a 23-minute meeting so that President Trump could have his day in court about all the things the Democrats did to steal the 2020 election. That's what we were facing in 2023, an unprecedented two-front war. On one front, we needed to take care of our own people who were facing losing their freedom for standing up with Donald Trump. And at the same time, we faced this mountain to climb to win the presidential election. And everybody said, you know, it's over, Georgia's gone blue, you know, there's nothing you can do about it. And y'all gave me the opportunity to be your chairman. And so we took those challenges on. And we won Georgia for Donald J. Trump by over 115,000 votes. And we did that together. We not only won the presidency, we won all 9 Republican congressional seats, which is the difference between a sham impeachment every day and moving the America First agenda through the House of Representatives. We returned Republican majorities to the State House and the State Senate. So we won. We won from the courthouse to the White House. But it's not just that. Some of the candidates have referenced this. Over 130 of Georgia's 159 counties shifted right. We increased our margins while increasing turnout all over the state. Young, old, black, white, Republicans are on the march everywhere. That does not sound like failure to me. I think that is success. And what about our unprecedented legal challenges? Fani Willis had targeted these folks for destruction, and her plan was to simply make it too expensive for them to be able to defend themselves. And so we stepped in, as the party had done under Chairman Schaefer, and we helped with those legal bills. And those lawyers filed a motion to disqualify Fani Willis that unmasked her funneling $750,000 to her secret boyfriend to persecute Republicans. And now she's been thrown off the case. That sounds like success to me. But what about 2026? Because that's what this is really about. You've heard all this noise. And I agree with something that was said early on. I think maybe Sally said it. The people that are coming to Dalton to vote in this election deserve a better quality of campaign, deserve a better tone. They deserve a focus on the issues that matter and not going after each other and tearing each other apart. And so that's what I'm going to focus on in the time I have remaining. In 2024, we had Trump Force 47, which was an incredible field program that turned out low propensity voters. We have to do that again, and that means raising money. We raised over $3 million on our own, $23 million altogether in the 2024 cycle. We've got to go raise more of that money. We have shown positive momentum with our donors. We've gone from an event that raised $125,000 with J.D. Vance to one that raised $300,000 with Laura Trump. So we got to raise that money because we got to be able to hire the staff we need to manage a similar field program in 2026. I don't have to figure out who those donors are. I know them. I'm on the phone with them. I'm making the calls right now, raising money for the state convention while we're campaigning. So I'm ready to go. I'm ready to put that field program in place. I'm ready to raise the money we need to be successful. But the other thing, and you don't have to be an attorney to be in this position, but I'll tell you it helps when you are in a state that is close like Georgia, not Alabama or Oklahoma, because election integrity and the litigation and legislation around election integrity is critically important. And so I demonstrated in the last 2 years. We hired more lawyers than we ever have before. We recruited and trained more lawyers than we ever have before. Over 500 lawyers deployed in Georgia. With your help, we recruited more poll watchers than we ever have before. We covered more poll watching shifts than we ever have before. And we filed, intervened in, and more election integrity lawsuits than we ever have before in the history of the Georgia Republican Party. So when you ask yourself what was the difference in 2020 and 2024, yeah, we had a great candidate in 2020. But what we needed were more legal protections, more eyes on the process, and we needed to be more aggressive in dealing with election integrity. We did that in 2024. We've got the roadmap for 2026, and I'm ready to do it again. We've got the Rolodex of the lawyers. They're ready to come back. They're excited. Nothing gets people coming back like success, you know. So we have this amazing opportunity to be very, very successful. I do want to say one thing about finances. Whoever's elected your chairman, our rules require a financial review or an audit. That's going to happen, no matter who gets elected, just to be very clear about that. And the Georgia Republican Party files a monthly statement on the federal money that we raise, and we file periodic, usually quarterly statements on the state money we raise. So it's all transparent. It's all out there for everybody to see. And what we can do together, if we continue the momentum we have, if we continue with the team we've got in place, we can fire Jon Ossoff. We have the best opportunity in America to put an America First conservative in the Senate. We can elect another Republican governor. We've had 24 years of Republican governors in Georgia. I don't want 4 years of Keisha Lance Bottoms, do you? And we can do that. But we got to have a Georgia Republican Party that brings its A game. It's not time for on-the-job training. It's not time to learn how to do the job. It's not time to figure out who are the people that can help us raise the money, or who are the lawyers that will come into the state to help us with the election integrity program. You need somebody that's ready right now. Jon Ossoff has already raised $11 million. Did y'all know that? He's already got $11 million in the bank right now. And we're going through this convention cycle, and we're going to come out of the blocks on June the 8th with a 6-month disadvantage. So you want somebody that's ready to run, that's ready to sprint, that has done this before. And I'll just close by saying that is why I believe I've been endorsed by Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones, by Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, by Congressman Mike Collins, by our Insurance Commissioner John King, by former Senator David Perdue, and today at 6:03 in the afternoon by President Donald J. Trump. So I just ask those of you that are delegates in Dalton, please vote for Josh McCoon for chairman. I will not let you down. Just like in 2024 when we delivered a big victory for Georgia Republicans, we will do it again with your help. Thank you.
That's fine. You're going to put that up, and then I'll ask David to come up after we got some questions from our delegates earlier in the last 2 days, and one of those is some are to Josh and some to David. So we'll ask you, David, to come up here in just a few minutes after Josh answers a few questions. And these are strictly from our delegates. What is your opinion of the Dominion voting machines? And do you believe the machines, the software can be corrupted? And do you believe that the 2020 election was stolen?
Well, there's no question, I'll start with the last question. There's no question that in the 2020 election, you had Democrat Fulton County election workers driving around with election machinery in the back of a van saying, hey, you want to vote? You want to vote? We had terrible problems with absentee ballots. One of the things we were able to do in 2024, the law was changed, we were able to uphold it in court, that you had to have a wet signature on a piece of paper to get an absentee ballot. And you know what happened? 374,000 people that voted absentee didn't vote at all in 2024. So you can't tell me that the Democrats, didn't cheat and cheat in a big way. And an 11,000 vote margin in politics, that's really, really close. So we absolutely had to do what we did in 2024 to guarantee President Trump a fairer, I'm not saying it's totally fair, but certainly a fairer election. Now on the machines, yes, machines can be corrupted. We are for paper ballots. The Georgia Republican Party, that has been the position since before I was chairman. It is my position. It is the Georgia Republican Party's position. But let me say this. We are going to do everything we can to get the legislature to put that forward. But the shortest pathway to getting rid of all the electronic voting machines is to have someone run for Secretary of State next year whose sole platform is to decertify the machines on day one. Because if you decertify the machines on day one, then the legislature has to act. So I'm not going to stand up here and tell y'all that the Georgia Republican Party chairman can wave a magic wand and make this happen. What I will tell you is we will fight like hell to get the legislature to do what we believe they need to do. But again, the best way forward is to get a Secretary of State that is committed to this issue.
You're in, as you know, you're in God's country up here, and many of us in the party are involved in politics have shared conservative values. Can you tell us if you and your family attend church? Have you a religious affiliation, and where do you derive your values from?
Yes, sir. So my family attends Christ the King, Cathedral of Christ the King in Atlanta. I grew up in the United Methodist Church. I spent my college time really seeking. I'd gone to confirmation classes, I'd read the Bible, but I can't say that was something, there was something missing. There was something missing, and I spent several years searching. And it was one of those things, I got into law school and I thought, well, at some point I'm gonna get around to that. And the second month I was in law school, they stopped our civil procedure class and they said that an airplane had hit one of the towers in New York City. And we all went into the student union and we watched what happened that day. And I thought, well, you know, today could be the day, tomorrow could be the day. And I went to Holy Spirit Catholic Church in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. I spent a year going through RCIA classes. And at the Easter Vigil in 2002, I committed myself fully and completely to Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior. And it's the best decision I've ever made. I'm not perfect, I make mistakes, but I do try to get up every day and follow Him.
I guess as a follow-up, what's your stance about life beginning at conception?
I'm 100% pro-life conservative. You can actually check my voting record. I didn't think I mentioned this in my remarks earlier. I actually first came up here when I was a state legislator, but I was in the state Senate for 8 years. I'm fully committed to the pro-life position that's been in the Republican Party platform for years, and believe that life begins at conception.
One of the delegates was just asking if we could get an agreement from any loser, whoever loses this, that they will not try and badmouth the winner and try and press in the press and in social media. I guess they're looking for, party unity.
Yeah, look, we gotta, whatever gets said in this whole thing, and it's unfortunate, but it's gonna be over in 29 days, who's counting? But at the end of that process, you absolutely have my commitment, whoever the winner is. This is it, folks. I mean, the Georgia Republican Party, the Republican National Committee, if America's going to succeed and survive, and this state's going to succeed and survive, this party has to succeed and survive. So it would be the furthest thing from my mind to do anything. I would never have anything negative to say post-election, and on the other side of it, would never do anything to try to undermine the work of the party. So yes, absolutely, I agree.
I think that's good for now. We need to get.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Get on the hot seat? What's that? Can we get on the hot seat?
Sure.
Okay.
We gotta fix the banner though. This thing's looking really sad.
Yeah.
Pop it back up here. There we go. Okay, first question.
Well, would you like to answer the one that Josh just answered about your religious affiliation, attend church, you and your family, and where do you derive your values, your core values from?
So I'm very private about church, and one of the things I can tell you is that every single day, I wake up every morning with a prayer of thanksgiving. I thank God for some days it's the blue sky above me, the wife beside me, the healthy children. I go to bed every night, pray again. So every day, every night, I'm in prayer. One of the interesting things about when my father, I'll speak up a little bit. When my father passed away in 2019, I learned that we had a family Bible that was printed in 1805, and it is huge. It's like this thick, huge, and it's written in Old English, and I get a lot of comfort out of reading from the family Bible. I had no idea how enjoyable that would be. So that's where I'm. Yes. What's the next one?
I guess the other one was what about your stance on abortion and whether life begins at conception?
All right. I think abortion is horrible, and I believe that life begins at conception. I mean, if we are, and for any of the deniers that are out there, one of the great things you can tell them is that if we're looking for clumps of bacteria on Mars, and we're going to call that life, then certainly what's in a woman's womb is definitely life.
Okay. There's a question about trying to understand how you could endorse someone who professes an ideology that hates Israel.
I thought I was going to answer the same questions.
Well, I don't think that's been a question for Josh.
Okay.
In relation to, what was her name? Somebody help me. Sophia Farouk.
Okay, so read the question so we can hear it again.
Anyway, so this is just on the, I guess Josh had nothing to do with that, as far as I know, had nothing
Okay.
to do with that. So this is
Right.
for you.
Okay.
And the delegates have asked me to ask you these questions.
Sure.
You don't even have the same ones. Because, an ideology that hates Israel, Americans, is allowed to lie to further their cause, kill anyone who does not believe the way they do according to the Quran, actually are hell-bent on wiping Israel off the map and taking over with Sharia law, even in America as we speak. This person also has a background or history on social media, or has no background, which makes them.
Okay, that's a really, really long question, but I'd say here's one of the first things I'll tell you. Look up my wife on social media. She has a Twitter account or an X account, and that's it. Nothing on anything else. So there are plenty of people that are out there that are invisible on social media because they don't derive any joy out of it or get anything out of it. As to Sophia Farouk and her being Muslim, what I can tell you is that what most people don't know is that at last count, I think there's 72 different sects of being Muslim. Last night, I had dinner with one of my Muslim friends he is huge Trump supporter. He's given me money for my campaign to help me run. And believe it or not, he's one of the sects that believes that Jesus lived, Jesus was the Messiah, and he's so strong in how he feels that he said that if one of his friends commits suicide, he is forbidden from going to their funeral. All right? So I think we need to open our minds a little bit about who's out there. We don't need to be viewed as bigots and racist. And the attacks that were made against her were written by a man who was thrown out of the FBI because he wrote things like this all the time. And the FBI said, you no longer have a home here. So I'm open to anybody that's out there, all right? I think we all have enough discernment to be able to figure out if somebody is against us or for us. I have a lot of friends from a lot of faiths, and I don't judge them for what they believe, and they don't judge me for what I believe. Yes?
Thank you very much.
Right?
Then there was one other about, according to GOP rules, says that the role of the second vice chair is to serve at the pleasure of the chairman. In other words, the person in the position is there to support the state party chairman. Could you share with us how you specifically have helped and supported Josh McCoon in his work on behalf of conservative Republicans?
Oh, wow, okay. So from the very first day that I was elected as second vice chair, I reached out to Josh. He didn't contact me back. I figured he's really busy. He just got elected. I texted, emailed, called, no response. All right, I'm going to tell you right now that I was essentially put into a closet and I was supposed to be forgotten about. All right, one of the people that's here tonight, with Josh, is a guy named Travis. He specifically, and I've got a screenshot of this too, where he specifically said that he did not give an email address to me or to Brian Pritchard because he was scared that we were going to reach out and say bad things to the governor. Had no intention of doing that. That's reprehensible. Nobody who's a core Republican would ever do that, no matter how you feel. So the job of the second vice chair actually needs to be redefined. When I become chairman, that's one of the first things we're going to do. We're going to give specific roles and responsibilities to the first vice chair and to the second vice chair. And God willing, I'd love to have an assistant first vice chair and an assistant second vice chair, because we got a big state with a lot of counties that need a lot of coverage, and we need leadership out there. Any others?
I think that's it.
Cool.
Thank you very much.
All right, that's it.
Wow. Thanks to everybody very, very much. I appreciate it. Is there, is there a motion to adjourn? Pardon? For what?
Oh, I forgot to give gifts away for your folks, I had mentioned it
Well,
earlier.
come on.
Okay.
Yeah, you got to let.
Okay, who does not have a mega shirt? Here you go. It's a shirt for you. It's a shirt for you. I'm not Oprah, but I have shirts. Here's a shirt for you. And one more shirt for you. Yeah, one more. Love Gordon County. Thank you very much.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. I'd like to say one other quick thing. I worked with a lot of people and found so much evidence that 2020 was stolen that I had to create a website called gaballots.com. If you have any questions about what's happening out there with our elections, look at the website, reach out to me. There's a ton of evidence out there. Thank you.
Sure, of course. Did you have a last comment, Josh? Do you have a last comment? Do you have a last comment that you wanted to say, since I gave some time? Sure.
I just want to thank all of y'all for being here. You know, you could be anywhere in the world tonight, and you chose to give up some of your time to hear from not just the candidates for chairman, but everybody running for these leadership positions. And, you know, that's what it's all about. That's what our process is about. So I just thank you for taking this time away from everything else that's important in your life to make sure we choose the right leaders to lead us forward so that we can win in 2026. Thank you.
Very good. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Second? All in favor, aye? Opposed? We're adjourned. We're adjourned, thanks.